Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to be going over how to create a UFO. If you're coming from my crash simulation, then you're at the right place. If you're just looking how to create a UFO, then you're also in the right place. This tutorial is going to take like basic Blender, just principles, move, extrude, nothing too crazy, and a little bit of noting, a little bit of shading, and the UFO is not going to come out super high poly, not super crazy. It's just a regular model. So without further ado, let's jump into Blender. So you're going to create a new file. I'm going to go enable screencast keys for myself and you guys. Follow along better. I'm going to press A, X, delete everything so you have a clear scene. Shift A, I'm going to add in a circle. Scale it out a little bit. Hit Tab for edit mode. F to fill that sphere. 1 on the number pad so I can get into front view. I'm going to extrude my way down a little bit. I'm going to make another extrusion. And move it down just a tad bit more. Scale this down. Or in. And then scale out just a tiny, just a touch bit. Like that. Next, I'm going to hit 1 to go vertice select mode. Select this top vertice whilst holding Alt, so we select this top face, or you can just go into face mode and select that. I'm going to extrude her up, the scale her in, GZ to kind of adjust it, like that, and then I'm going to go E to extrude that top part up a little bit, scale her in. Next, I'm going to go into my modifiers panel right here, and I'm going to add in a subdivision surface. On this side here, to kind of give it a little bit sharper edge, or a little bit more thickness, just going to throw in a loop cut, 2 loop cuts there. I'm also going to scale this in here, and you can see at the top we kind of get this like weird pattern going, forming. Don't want that. I'm just going to do that with I'm just going to inset with I, and then I'm going to add in another loop cut at top, and you should have something sort of like this, which is pretty good. I'm actually going to take this here. I'm going to scale it in just a tad. I'm going to GZ scale, and then texture. So we kind of have this like a little bit of a cone shape, and I like how that looks. Perfect. Next, this bottom, I gotta do a little bit of work on her. I'm going to go 3 for face select mode. I'm going to select this face, I to inset, bring her in. That way we kind of get rid of that little jagged edge. I'm going to stay in face mode. I'm going to press Alt, and I'm going to select this, Alt Z to go into X-ray so you can get a better view. I'm going to select this little ring around here. I'm going to go into Select, check or deselect, and then I'm going to go period, individual origins, E to extrude, S to scale, or sorry, I'm just going to go E to extrude, keep it medium point. I'm going to go E to extrude, and then I'm going to extrude it up just a tad bit, like that. I'm going to give it an inset with I, about right there. Next, I'm going to throw in 2 more loop cuts. I'm just going to throw in I'm going to put them in one at a time just so they scale up good along this normal. And you should have something like this, a little bit of detail. I'm just gonna, and then to get rid of that, I'm gonna throw in a loop cut here. Now we already have like a good amount of geometry, and if you're doing the physics simulation, it's gonna help you out. It's the more geometry, the better, pretty much. And obviously, if you want even more, you can just increase this levels viewport, and you'll get more. And we kind of have this shape, and that's pretty good. So next, I'm going to shade this bad boy. So I'm going to use this timeline right here. I'm going to go Shift F3 and do it a few times until I finally get this. And I'm going to create a new material. So I'm going to click New Material. I'm going to click this. I'm going to type in main hole. Can't type. And I'm just going to give it a pretty basic texture. So I'm going to go into material preview mode. Hit this. Well, I'm going to throw in a brick. I'm just going to, you can go crazier with this if you want. This is just a basic texture for for the ship. Control T to add in the texture coordinate such this to object. If you don't have this add-on, edit preferences, add-ons, and you just not install, type into here, node wrangler, and it'll pop up right there. Check it and you'll be good. So next I'm going to take this box. You can see it kind of came here. I'm going to adjust the scale just a tad bit. I'm going to pretend these are panels. So in order to get more of that panel look, I'm going to adjust the mortar size to something really tiny. I think that looks good. Give it a little bit of randomness. Try to make this look as random as you can. That's where you can kind of go, you know, rogue and solo, and you can just create your own little design. I think this looks good so far. So next is going to be giving it textures. I want to go here and I want to give it a little bit of a darker texture. Other thing I want to do is bump up the metallic, turn down the specular. I don't think the roughness would make it literally like grass, so I think 0.5 is a fair number right there. I'm going to go Shift A, I'm going to add in a noise texture here. I'm going to go Control T again, bring up this, connect it to the object. I'm going to add in a math node right here, turn it to multiply, boom. Then here I'm going to add a Voronoi texture. And I'm going to take the distance, and I'm going to plug it into this bottom. Make sure you switch this math node to a multiply. Next, I'm going to add in a color ramp. Color ramp. Sweet. Zoom in a bit here. And now we're just going to plug this in. There. And into color 1. So now we have this like kind of cool little texture thing going on here. Which is exactly what you want. And you can play around with this color ramp and you can see kind of how the texture is affected. Yeah. But the trick is you want to have this here, this value. You want to plug into here so it's the same. Or no, sorry, into the black. That's what I meant. Into the black, you want to have this value the same. So that way everything's kind of even. And then now this slider right here, this is going to be kind of like, I like to add in a little bit of dirt. Just to kind of give a little bit of, and dirt's kind of like a little bit more, like a darker orange. Yeah, cool. So you can see it gave it a little bit of a dirt. This is a material preview, so it kind of look a little wonky. And what we're going to do is we can jack up the scale a lot. You can jack up the scale here to kind of give it this dynamic, like a little bit of dynamics, like make it look a little more dynamic. And this texture, this color ramp will kind of adjust the amount of detail you want on here. And if you want, you'll see that there's some hard cutoffs along the edges. You can get around that by just adding that to here, and you can see we have more. And I think that looks pretty good. So that's what the Voronoi, it's a good way of just adding like quick texture. And the last thing I'm going to do for texture is I'm going to go into a bump. I'm going to get a bump. Throw this into the normal, and I'm going to take this color, I'm going to plug it into the height. And immediately, you can see this thing kind of starts coming to life. It's got little cracks with like dirt in them. And I think that looks pretty decent. You can increase the detail, and you can see how like detail affects it. We really zoom in here, get out. You can see it's kind of like squishy, like a little amoeba type thing. And you can go, and you can also, don't get me wrong, you can go in here and you can go crazy. You can add in another ramp, and if you so choose, and you can even play around with it even more. You can go crazy and add in blue if you want. I'm not going to do this today. But you can get some very, very, very cool textures. But I like this kind of like brown with like a little chunks taken out of it, so it has like a little bit of wear and tear. If you want less wear and tear, like I said, you can just slide up, or you can just remove this and slide this back. There's like a million ways you can keep it out of the scale. You can do, there's a million ways you can texture this bad boy. And I think that looks good. So we have the main hole here, and I'm gonna add some more details, and you can do as you wish. This is like the main thing. For like a detail here, what I like to do is just scale this, bring this in, eye to inset, eye to inset, scale it in a little bit more, add in a new slot here, and then add a new material, assign this new material to here, and I'm going to rename this material to yellow, or I'm going to do blue light. Cool. And delete this principled BSDF and add in a emission. And also remember, if you're in cycles, if you're going to render in cycles or whatever, you got to make sure that this emission value has, you got to go into compositing, use nodes, add in a glare, I believe, yes. Throw this here, streaks medium, and that's good. And then you'll kind of have that glow thing, that glowing effect that you get in Eevee. This is an Eevee. That's only for cycles. You gotta add in fog glow. That's in the compositing tab. Anyways, I'm gonna add in a blue light about right there. I think it's a cool light. And obviously you can change this however you want. You can throw in a noise texture here. You can do the same thing we did with this little detail here. You can do the same thing with that. It doesn't really matter. Last but not least, I'm gonna go Z solid view. I'm gonna select all these little crevices that I cut out earlier. Normally I'd do this in one, I should have done this in one pass, but we're just gonna do this we're gonna do it this way real quick. It's a little tedious. And then we're just gonna assign the blue light to it. And I believe, cool. And then last but not least, we can go into here, scale this all the way down, give it a little extrusion, scale that in, and then just assign it this blue light too. We go into rendered, you can see we kind of have this like cool little UFO texture. And feel free to go crazy with the texturing. You can cut out more pieces here. You can give it like a yellow ring around the sides. Whatever you want to do. This is just this is a blank canvas for you guys. This is the quickest way to do it. Kind of get the texture down, get the shape down. If you're not familiar with subsurfs or whatever, if you don't like this look, you could throw in a bevel before here. You can see it kind of like makes it a little bit more blocky. I don't really like that look, but you can really go crazy with it however you want. I recommend using the bevel right off the bat. If you want to go the bevel route, it'll give you a whole different, not a whole different, it'll give you a decently different look. So anyways, that's the tutorial. It's a very quick spaceship, so if you're coming from my physics simulation, then I'll put a timestamp, I'll put a thing up in the corner for you guys to just jump right back into there. And if you're interested on how to crash this, break it apart into many pieces, have it go through buildings, whatever you want, then also click that video. It's going to go more in depth into these tabs right here, the physics, the particle systems, and you'll have a decent knowledge, like an understanding of it. And you might have to redo the project 2 or 3 times over and over again until you finally get it and master it. And once you do, you'll be well along your way in Blender if you're just starting out. So I'm gonna leave the cutoff here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, leave a like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.